the third time that I'm recording this video. The original idea was that I would sit down with a puzzle and do kind of a Q&A style video, but turns out I am now realizing that I don't think I can puzzle and talk at the same time. So this is attempt number 3, and I'm just going to talk about the Speed Puzzle World Series. For me, the inaugural Speed Puzzle World Series was not about puzzling because I was not there as a competitor. I was the host of the competition livestream along with the one and only Jim Eakins. This also means that my event recap is going to be slightly different compared to those that you may or may not have seen on YouTube and Instagram. This is mainly because I barely had enough time or mental capacity to actually film any significant footage. I mostly have impressions of what it was like to be there at the event. I do want to talk about the Speed Puzzle World Series though, because firstly, it was an incredible experience for me, and secondly, because I think that this event is going to revolutionize competitive puzzling as we know it. The concept in short is that it basically breaks away from the traditional speed puzzling competitions where you have a qualification round and then you qualify into the final where you get one puzzle and that's your final puzzle and that's it. For the Speed Puzzle World Series, you get 6 different challenges that all test a different kind of skill that you use as a speed puzzler, and those who complete these 6 challenges the fastest get to be the overall champions because they are the ones who can show versatility and consistency throughout their puzzling. Once I found out what the concept behind the Speed Puzzle World Series is, I got pretty excited because I think that this is a very revolutionary concept in itself, but also because it means that whoever goes to this competition, they pay their entry, obviously, but it's not going to be a question whether they get to puzzle more than once, but they actually guaranteed get those 6 rounds of puzzling. It also means that if you enter this competition, you're basically signing up for 6 finals of a championship, which is a big deal in itself. But do I regret not competing in the Speed Puzzle World Series? Of course, I regret not puzzling in the inaugural Speed Puzzle World Series, but in the meantime, I think I would have regretted not commentating the entire thing a little bit more. Also, my thought process running up to the event was basically that even though I'm a decent speed puzzler, I'm also not among the top speed puzzlers. So it's not like I gave up a top 10 placement to be a commentator at this event. I did get the puzzles for being there, so I can do the puzzles and see how I would compare to the field of the competition, but I don't really think I missed out on anything competitively. Not to mention that this way I also got to see a little bit of behind the scenes, and I could see the mentality that Melissa Townsend and Lou Jacket, the organizers of the competition, represent, and that in itself was worth it. More on these cards later. I arrived to Munich the day before the competition just to get settled in a little bit, also to see what the whole live stream station is going to be like, do like mic checks, things like that, but also to help a little bit with last minute preparations. This is also when I found out about the table situation that many people have been talking about during the live stream, during the event, and also afterwards. And we have also addressed this on the live stream, so I'm not going to go into too much detail here.
You might notice on screen that some of the tables are different for some of the competitors, and I just want to let everybody know this was a situation that was outside of the World Series organizers' control. The folks that were delivering tables made a huge error and spent all day yesterday running around trying to rectify it as best as they could, but this was 100% not on the World Series organizers, and they're doing the best they can to try to make things as even as possible.
Basically, yesterday they got the wrong, half of the tables delivered wrong. They had the different size and I think also a different color. So the whole day was basically spent on doing their best they can to rectify the problem. I do think that once everything was done and we were ready to close the hall for that day, it did look incredible. The whole end result was just lovely to look at, and it was amazing to think that that hall is going to be filled up with puzzlers the next day. But let's just see how the first day went. It's Speed Puzzle World Series Day, and I'm going to be commentating the live stream for the full weekend, and the nerves are starting to kick in. It's so unbelievable that I get to do this, and I'm so very grateful that I got the opportunity, even though I'm getting super nervous now. And it's very funny that I actually got a hotel room that is looking at the venue, which is over there. And yeah, I've been looking at it, and the volunteers are already arriving. It's a couple of hours before the competition is going to be starting, but obviously I couldn't sleep at all. I'm basically just going through the names, the competitor profiles that we got, and I basically just want to do the last minute preparations so that I can do as well as I can. It's just so incredible to be here. I really can't wait for what the day is going to bring. I also don't know what the puzzles are going to be, so I can't wait for the puzzle reveals and just everything, just to see the puzzle community again, see all those friends that I very rarely get to see, and just talk with Jim for an entire day, which is also just a pure pleasure in itself. So it's going to be an incredible day, and I still need to get something for breakfast because I have to eat something before I go in. But yeah, I can't wait to, well, not really take you with me. You're most likely going to be watching at least parts of the live stream, so you're going to be seeing and hearing enough of me. But I'm going to try and make as much of ambient, little videos and snippets of what it feels like to be there, because I just want to show you what it is like to be here. It's already incredible, and it hasn't even started yet. So let's see what the day brings. And this is one of the only vlogs that I managed to record the entire weekend. The day honestly went by like a storm. You could see that my hotel was very close to the venue, so basically in the morning I went over there, and already as you were walking you could see the puzzlers all gathering around the hall, and the atmosphere and the excitement was all around you, and you could just feel that you're at a puzzle competition. Once everyone was in their seats and the competition was about to begin, there were two surprises that happened. One is that we were actually ahead of schedule, which was, I think, a first for a big international competition. And the second was that they prepared an 8th challenge for competitors.
So you've all signed up to come here to do 6 challenges, but we actually have a 7th challenge for you. Woo! Woo. Now, this is a Speed Puzzle World Series exclusive, additional 500-piece Ravensburger puzzle. Can I introduce you to Rainbow Rascals? Now, this is going to be your personal best sprint challenge to do in your own time to keep the excitement of the World Series going.
And it kind of distracted people a little bit, I think, from that big excitement of, oh my god, this is going to be starting right now. So people were very excited about that new puzzle, and then they also had a little bit of time before the competition started to get their focus back into the puzzle competition. I'm also going to have to tell you here that I actually barely remember what happened during the day, and I actually had to rewatch the live streams to be able to talk more about it. I think the reason for that is that whenever I'm doing a live stream like this, I basically work from short-term memory in that sense, because while my mouth is producing words, my brain is doing about 6 different things, and by the time I get to speaking something, I'm already thinking about something that I'm going to be saying in the future, or something that I have to point out to Jim, or something that I have to write down, or there's always something. So basically I have information going through my head, but it's not really sticking. So I literally had to catch up on what happened during the day because I could barely remember the order that competitors finished in. I have a theory why the gradient challenge was the first one to kick off the entire event. I think that the organizers knew that this is going to be a round that is easier for most of the people that are there. They wanted people to go into the event with a high and with confidence, so the gradient challenge was a very good one for that. I have not confirmed this theory with them, but they might have had this in the back of their heads at least, especially considering that there was a competitor survey before the entire event, and there were this many people that thought that the gradient challenge is going to be their best round of the entire competition. The thing that I like about this image the most is that, yes, it has a gradient, so gradient people can be very happy, but it also has a lot of small details that people like me, who don't like gradients, can also hold on to. So you can kind of figure out all of these parts of what you're going to be doing to then connect them with the gradients. So you can go multiple ways around this puzzle, and it's not just a pure gradient, which definitely helped even those who are not super confident with gradients. Repeating elements can be famously difficult in a puzzle. I thought that people might actually be underestimating this challenge a little bit, because I didn't really see people post about puzzles that they have been doing that have a lot of repetitive elements, but then they actually took 180 and turned into insane practice where they were doing different kinds of challenge puzzles which were insane, and they are famously very, very hard to do, and they are not speed puzzles. So it turned into this repetition madness. Thankfully, the image turned out to be something different compared to what people were expecting. Yes, there is repetition in there, but there's also elements that are not repetition. So it is pretty much the same as with the gradient puzzle, in that even if you're not that good at textures or colors or these elements to do shape work, you had a chunk of gradient that at least gets you started with the puzzle. I also kind of think that this gradient section might be a little nod to the previous challenge, but I do think it has a very good function in this puzzle, which is that you have this sky section so that you can start with it. And a lot of people did this during the competition as well. This was a very popular way to start. So you already have about a third of the puzzle, or maybe a little bit less than a third of the puzzle done, and you can kind of connect things to it if you have nothing else to do. Otherwise, it's pretty difficult to get into this puzzle. There's a lot of textures, and obviously a lot of repetition. It's pretty obvious that people were basically finishing on this side mostly with this building and the repetitive elements, but everything else is also very blue, so it's a tricky one. And we also know that these repetitions can take ages to do. And in that sense, if this area was also something that was super repetitive, I think way less people would have finished, because there's just not enough things to go by if there's too much repetition. So with this gradient, they at least made sure that even those people who are maybe a little bit on the slower side had a feeling of success of the puzzle, and that they got a good chunk done before they got to the really difficult part. This puzzle already took longer than all the other Ravensburger rounds, and had this been another repetition, I think it would have taken even longer. This was the round that surprised everyone a little bit. This was also the round that I was looking forward to most, because I personally love anything that is detailed and busy. I was thinking that if I had the chance to puzzle in the competition, I would do best on this round. So I couldn't wait to find out what the image was. This was the image. It was very different compared to the thing that everyone was expecting. And I, again, have a theory of why that is. I think that through word of mouth, the detailed image turned into a busy image in people's heads. There were a lot of people who were saying that this puzzle was not busy enough. And in that sense, I think that everyone was wrong, including me. I was also calling this the busy challenge. But Even in the rules, it says it's going to be a detailed image where you have to focus on textures and little details of the image. I also think that there's a very important difference between a busy image and a detailed image, because if you say busy image, people have like the Jan van Hasteren puzzles in their mind immediately, which is full of everything and there's a lot of little things, or the World Championship puzzle from 2025 where you had all those little kawaii cute things. This is a detailed image, which, yes, it's busy, there's a lot of things on there, but it's also possible to navigate through them. So a detailed image in that sense, like this, is also just friendlier to everyone, and it also kind of levels the playing field. Each segment is multiple pieces, so there's not just one piece where you have to find that exact thing of where it is on the image, but you can kind of navigate by color. Again, you have more skills to play with and not just the one that this specific challenge is testing. What's good about this image is that a surprising number of people were very afraid of this challenge and they thought that this is going to be their most difficult round. But it actually turned out to be one of the fastest rounds in the competition itself. So this turned out to be an incredible image. We had some insane times on this puzzle, and it was just really fun to watch people complete this. And with that, day one came to an end.
First day is done! Look who I got here!
Hello!
How has it been for you today?
It's been an absolute blast. I'm excited that I get to sit next to you the entire time. It's been crazy trying to keep up with all of the fast puzzling and all of the different things that we've seen and be able to like report on it intelligently, because it comes through so quickly and I'm overwhelmed and excited for it.
I'm baffled of how we were thinking that we're actually going to have time for interviews, and that's not happening. Basically, we start talking about a puzzle, and by the time we have kind of analyzed it, someone's finished. Mostly Victor, so far.
So far, but anything could happen in the next several rounds of puzzling. I'm curious to see what the speed bumps are going to be like tomorrow. I'm hoping that we can clear the room. I don't care which puzzle it is. I want one round where we can clear it.
It's going to be tight. I think it was more likely to happen today than tomorrow, because tomorrow is going to be like the more challenging puzzles, but I also just can't wait to see what they are going to be, because today was Ravensburger Day and it's done. So tomorrow is Gibson's.
Tomorrow's
and
an
it's going
adventure.
to change the whole playing field a lot more, because many of the puzzlers are used to Ravensburger and they're very strong with them, but the Gibsons might actually change that.
It's a whole different ballgame at that stage. Anything can happen. There's only a few minutes separating a lot of the different positions, and you only need a few minutes each round in order to make that up, and that's pretty easy to do. So I'm excited. Are you excited?
Oh, I'm excited.
Are you
but
excited?
You know what I'm mostly excited about now?
What's that?
To go and get something to eat. Let's do that. Okay, bye. Bye, everybody.
From here on, it was basically just about enjoying time with the puzzle community. We went out for food with people, and the kind of person that I am, I basically just kept finding people that I ran over to, being happy to see them again, which is just amazing at any of these international events. It was also very lucky that because the venue was at such a central point and pretty much everyone booked accommodation right around the venue, you could keep bumping into people, because it was also a very vibrant area. There were a lot of restaurants and bars and all kinds of places to hang out. So wherever you went, you really could bump into puzzlers at pretty much every place. At the end of the evening, I ended up joining a kind of improvised puzzle meetup, and finally I got to place my first puzzle pieces. And that would actually be the only puzzle that I did the entire weekend. It was this one, and I got to do it as a pair with Desiree from India. It was really fun to complete it. It was also very, very tiring because the lighting was not the best, the image itself is not too easy, and we were both just very, very tired. Desiree also got me a surprise puzzle for an online competition in India, which is called Puzzle Frenzy, and I got to puzzle it just after I got back from Munich, and it was so enjoyable. I loved that puzzle. It was just really, really fun. Thank you again. For the start of the day, It was definitely very much needed because this was the day that was bringing the more challenging puzzles with it. This was probably the most talked about challenge of the entire World Series. There have been so many guesses of what the brand is going to be and what the image is going to be, and people have been buying and exchanging unboxed puzzles like crazy. It also started a wave of unboxed competitions for online events as well, so that people are more prepared for this challenge, and so people have been doing unboxed left, right and center. This was also very exciting to commentate because Jim and I also had no idea what the brand or puzzle are going to be. We were just guessing, just like everybody else. Mel and Lou wanted us to not know because they thought that it also would be more fun to watch the live stream with us not knowing what is going on and us guessing what it's going to be. And I think it worked out really, really well. This resulted in some really fun moments, including the culmination of my guessing game when I realized what is actually on the image.
We're getting a shot on the upper left here over Kiara's shoulder. You can see that she's done a really fabulous job getting the outline.
That's capybaras.
It's capybaras.
It's capybaras. It's a capybara picture.
That's adorable and wonderful.
The funny thing is that because I have never puzzled an Anatolian puzzle before, I didn't recognize the pieces that were in front of me. So even though someone in the YouTube live stream guessed that it was Anatolian, I never reacted to it because I actually never noticed it, but I also would have not been able to confirm because I didn't know what Anatolian was like. But now I have learned. And this was the image! Isn't it adorable? It's just, yeah, it's really, really fun. And I think it was also very well chosen for the unboxed challenge. There's a number of tinier elements that you kind of have to figure out as you're going, but there's also bigger sections that you can recognize very well. So you can kind of go by color blocks as well. And there's just details that you can work with. And then in the end, once you have all of these very separate features, that's when you can fill in the gaps. So I think this picture worked out really, really well for the challenge. Need I say anything? Once it was announced that one of the challenges is going to be a Gibson's Circles, the sales in Gibsons just went up like this, in Europe especially, but I think everywhere else where people were planning to come to this competition. And it was also not a very big selection of Gibson's Circles. So at one point you basically ran into online competitions using Gibson's puzzles that people have already done because there's not that many. I think there were maybe about 4 or 5 that were like available. So that basically turned into a circle madness. And this was a tough one. It's not just the irregular piece cut, which is something that I think European speed puzzlers are not super used to because we don't have that much of irregular piece cuts, but it's also the image that is pretty challenging. It is a collage, so it does make it a little bit more simple, but they are all very, very similar and there's just so much blue. And once you're done with all of the separate features, then you just end up with a big bunch of blue that you have to keep filling in. And because it's a Gibson circle, and because it's a circle in general, it is just larger as well, so it eats a little bit more time to navigate around the puzzle. Also, I don't know about you, but I keep finding that with every single circle puzzle, be it whatever brand, I never get the size right. So I start building the edge, for example, and I always get it wrong how large it's going to be. So if you're someone who gets that wrong as well, then most likely that's also something that makes it take a bit longer. And what felt like in a blink of an eye, we came to the 6th challenge already. This was the only challenge with a 90-minute time limit because obviously you have a larger puzzle, so you need the extra time. And still people were worried that they would not finish their puzzle in the given time limit. This was probably the most difficult puzzle in the entire World Series. It's a real beast of a puzzle. Not only is it 136 pieces larger than all the other puzzles, but also the image is just very difficult. Not only is the background just basically a blob of color or multiple blobs of colors, the foreground is also not that easy. These gingerbreads are actually really difficult to figure out. And there's also actually a lot of repetition in here as well. So it's also kind of a nod to the second challenge. Especially once I saw that the first finisher, Victor from Poland, was 55 minutes into the puzzle when he finished, I kind of knew that there's going to be a lot of piece counting for a lot of participants. I think it is a pretty good idea though that they decided to commemorate where the first Speed Puzzle World Series took place. So this is a München or Munich specific puzzle, so it's a really nice image to have. However, there were a good number of people that finished, and the closer you got to the time limit, the more exciting it got. So those that managed to finish in the time limit, especially with just a couple of seconds to go, those were really, really relieved smiles in the live stream. So that was kind of fun to watch. I'm sorry, but it was really fun. And it was a challenge. However, once the challenge was over, there was no time to waste. Everyone was getting ready for the prize giving ceremony already.
Okay, and now the moment that we've all been waiting for. Let's celebrate our incredible winners.
Once I rewatched the live stream and saw how long it was, I was actually surprised that it was only about a half an hour long, and then everyone was finished. Another aspect that I really enjoyed in the award ceremony in general, it was not just the overall winners that got something for their performance, but there were some tables that were randomly picked so that they just win something, and they also awarded everyone that won an individual challenge. So that was really nice, because I think that's something that is actually missing from all other competitions that have like qualifier round, for example, because I think that it's a very big performance that you get to win a qualifier round in a big championship, be it world championship or national championship, or even just a smaller competition that has multiple rounds. It's a big deal to get into the final and to win a preliminary round, and I kind of always missed people getting something for that, even if it's just a medal or just an extra puzzle or something like that. So I was really happy that this time actually the individual challenge winners were rewarded as well. It would be very nice to see this in other events as well, and who knows, maybe the World Series sets precedent in this as well. Overall, I felt kind of emotional to see everyone be rewarded, and how Mel and Lou had something nice to say about everyone. And also it was just emotional to see Victor receive the first place award, and how they talked about his achievement and how he was celebrated. I think it was a very well-deserved win, and I couldn't be happier for Victor.
I think we need to give another huge round of applause for our very first ever Speed Puzzle World Series champion!
The event is over, and I've caught Adam for a random check-in. Hi.
Hi. How are you?
How you doing? It's been exhausting. There's been so many things happening, and it's hard to believe it's over. How was it for the puzzling?
It was such the whole weekend. I think was amazing. Today was challenging. If you're going to look at the results, you'll see that it was challenging. But what I can't get over, and there's still people here packing up. It's like things are happening quick. But what I can't get over is how everyone seems to be walking away so happy from this, which I think is a testament to the organizers, to the location, to everything, and yourself included, doing the live stream.
Thank you.
Well done. How was it doing those?
I was just explaining it to someone that it was somehow both very fast and it was very long.
Yeah.
So it's like a very paradox thing, but it just went by so quickly. We didn't have time for anything.
Yeah.
In the end, because there was just so many things to do. Thanks to you guys.
Yeah. I think that was noticeable on the live streams, which I've not really watched, but like usually we see there's downtime. You can talk to some of the finishers and other people. Not with this one. When you have 335 of some of the fastest puzzlers in the world, and they're finishing right after another in a very short time period as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no time left over. But
it really felt like just such an elite league. Already making top 50 was halfway impossible from what it looked like, and it was just so exciting to watch. There was always something happening, which is also why we didn't have any interviews on the live stream, nothing. It was just us just trying to keep up with the puzzlers.
yeah, you were mentioning that the top 50 is tough to get into. I did my top 20 prediction video before this started, and someone came up to me and who thought they would be in the top 20s, and they said, I noticed my name wasn't in there, and then as soon as you listed the first person on the list, they're like, "Oh yeah, never mind." We realized how many of the top puzzlers are here. This was a proper world champion event, and congratulations to Victor as well. Like,
Congratulations to everyone. Like the top 10 was just like unbelievable, but everybody else who was doing it, it was just impossible to watch. And also, like, all of the puzzles were incredible, the people were incredible. Which was your favorite round?
I like the unboxed round. Well, I prepared a lot for the unboxed round, so I did like that. Circle was not my favorite, but that was never going to be my favorite.
Yeah.
But I did like the unboxed Anatolian puzzle. That was a good one to have. On the Ravensburgers, I like the first one.
Yeah.
But what I really wish we could have had was the special Ravensburger that is only available here.
Yeah.
To purchase. That it looks adorable, and I can't wait to do that challenge.
I was about to ask if you have done that already, but then not yet.
No, I want to do it in my ideal conditions. Once I'm back in Canada, that's when I will focus on that. Was it Rainbow Rascals? I think is what it's called. Absolutely can't. I know there's a lot of people that have done it. I don't know how they had the energy last minute, but there's always something. The competition's over, but it's not really over because
No, it's not. And you have Canadian nationals coming up.
Yeah.
How are you going into Canadian nationals after something like this?
I hope this prepared me a little bit for it. It's especially that last challenge, that panoramic, pushing through on that, and the Canadian nationals. I'm expecting some tough puzzles from them as well. So, no, I think excited for the Canadian nationals. It never stops. This is done, and now that I refocus, and the Canadians start getting ready.
There's always a next puzzle. There's always a next puzzle, but it's still we just have to somehow get over the fact that the World Series is over, and we have to wait another year before it happens again.
Maybe it's less. Maybe it's in April next year, and then that's only 11 months. I mean,
Hopefully.
Right there, we can nail down and ask, but no.
Yeah, I don't think they really have an idea yet of where it's going to happen, but I have already heard it's going to be happening.
Oh, yeah,
most
it's
likely
going to be happening. How could you not after this weekend? It's it will be happening, and I'm expecting the people that missed out on this one that really wanted to do it. You're going to see more people try to get in. It's going to be very tough, I think, to get a spot in the next one. So when those tickets go on sale, I don't think you're going to have.
Watch out!
Yeah, you're not going to have months to get it. So yeah.
It has been incredible. Thank you for jumping in, and let's go and do some puzzle chicken.
Yes, chicken. And happy puzzling.
Happy puzzling.
Bye.
There's a new part in my video that I haven't done before, but I have some fun graphs. They are obviously not mine. Jacob, or Knights of the Round Puzzle, has provided me some really cool graphs that he has been making since the Speed Puzzle World Series. So thank you very much for providing them to me, and do check out his site because he's got some really awesome stuff going on. Sorry in advance if I butcher talking about stats. I am someone who has no brain for these kinds of things. So basically I'm just going to go through each of them, and you can take a look, pause the video and think about it a little bit and correct me in the comments if I say something stupid. So the point is, bear with me. The whole concept of the Speed Puzzle World Series was that you have to be consistent with your skills, and basically as you go through these 6 challenges, your results were cumulative. So they were all added up and you had a total time based on how you performed in each individual challenge. If you didn't manage to finish a puzzle, then your remaining pieces were counted up, and for each puzzle piece you basically got a 5-second penalty, so to speak. So basically the leftover pieces were counted as extra time. So in theory, with this concept, people were basically going through a marathon over 2 days, and the purpose was to finish this marathon as quickly as possible. What I find is really interesting to think about is how the average times and the average piece per minute changed from challenge to challenge. So a comparison of all these rounds really shows that the panorama just stands out so much, which is not just because of the difficulty, but also because of the higher piece count, obviously. As expected, the gradient challenge was the fastest one overall, because that's also what people felt most confident about, and gradients are just generally something that people are faster on compared to all the other types of images. Since the competition format is exactly about rewarding consistency on very, very different images, it's very good to take a look at how people were consistent throughout the challenges. The one thing that I think is very interesting to think about is that consistency is not necessarily a statistic kept for the top competitors. So you can be consistently extremely fast on everything, but you can be extremely consistent with your performance also if you're not among the top competitors. What I think is very striking, and it's something to think about for the future, basically only the top 10 were really consistent, and the slower competitors were very consistent. So in the middle, if you're kind of that average puzzler, then you have way more fluctuation in how you're going to be placing. This might also be a result of how close the competition was the entire time. Basically, if you lost 1 minute compared to someone, you might have already missed about 30 placement. So your placements are going to be fluctuating way more if you're a little bit weaker on one of the challenges, but stronger on another one. One more thing that I just enjoyed seeing, so I borrowed this graph, is that there were so many countries represented, and also there were just different distributions. Now obviously Germany is on the top because it was the hosting country, so that was the place where people had to travel the least. But it was really cool to see that actually a lot of people from overseas made the trip for an inaugural event. So that's something to really appreciate, I think, and it's just really, really nice to see. There were a couple of people that kind of needed to get into the groove of the competition, because you can see that with the gradient challenge, they might have been a little bit behind compared to everybody else, and then they just kept climbing the ladder up towards a better ranking. Even among the top 25, we can see that there's a number of people who just kept jumping up in rankings throughout the competition, with Sharka and Shia basically jumping into the top 25 just on the last challenge. Thank you so much, Jacob, once again for providing these charts, and sorry for butchering them and not really analyzing them. That's going to have to be someone else's channel because I'm just not good with numbers. I did enjoy looking at them though. So if you want some more of these stats, then definitely check out the Knights of the Round Puzzle on Instagram, because he's got some really cool stuff going on. The Speed Puzzle World Series was a really overwhelming experience for me in pretty much every single way. I think this might be also the reason why I found it so hard to place it into a video, because I just have to kind of get my grip on how I feel about the entire thing, but it's all positive, it's just so much experience. It was really amazing to see all of these puzzlers and top puzzlers take a leap into a completely new competition format. And it's also just so entertaining to watch high-level puzzling at any event, really. The other thing that I found really, really incredible is that a lot of people signed up knowing full well that they're most likely not going to finish at least one of the puzzles, and they still just signed up so that they can participate and enjoy the event atmosphere. And that is something that should definitely be celebrated, and it's just incredible because they have enriched the event very much. I also really love the extra little details that they have added to this event, including the insanely cool collector's cards. Once you signed up for the event, you had the option to send in a picture of yourself that would be added to these collector cards of the event, so you could basically turn into a Pokemon for the entire event. This was also a really good opportunity for people to talk to each other, because if you got someone's card, you might actually want to exchange it with them so that they get their own cards, or you might want to get some of the stars, or you might want to get some specific friends. So you basically had to start talking to the participants of the competition. So it brought people together, and that was also really fun. I was very late to jump into the whole card action because obviously we were busy speaking on the live stream, and by the time I got to the shop, they were actually sold out. So people were eating these cards up. But thankfully there was some extra stash somewhere, so I did end up getting some packets for myself, and I got some really cool ones.
Let's see.
We're going to be very gentle here.
Yeah, you have to protect the packet.
Yeah, you have to protect the package. All right, we're gonna try to get it from the sides, so that way you don't get anything on the front. Let's go, Xian!
Woo!
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Oh, it looks so good.
Charlotte Kirby!
Yay!
Oh, Charlotte Kirby! That's a great image. Holographic Andrew Paul!
Yay! Yay!
Oh my gosh, I can't wait for him to sign this. I'm so excited for that.
Oh my god! You got me!
I got you! Now you're stuck with me forever.
That's it.
Yeah, that's how those are the rules.
Now I just need to get you.
Good luck. You got a few more packs.
Serious opening of the packet. Let's see.
Wait, which one is that? Which one is it? Oh, let's go!
Oh my god! It's holographic!
Wait, you got the holographic in there?
And I've got Katrina Garland! Oh my god! I've got a stack pack.
That's amazing.
I also don't mean to show off, but I did manage to get a Karen Puzzles card as well. However, nobody was as serious about the card collection as Aaron from the UK. He managed to get almost every single one of these cards. So by the end of the event, he had this entire folder just filled with all of the participants. I think that's 200 plus cards that he managed to collect. So that was insane to see. Also in that folder that he had, it just looked incredible. To my knowledge, the only 2 cards that were missing from his collection were Victor and Karen, which were basically cards that unless you got them in your own pack, you were not able to exchange them, because I also wouldn't want to part with mine, so I'm really sorry that I didn't, but I'm really happy I got them. Once the whole event was over, some of us still went over to the bar very close to the venue, and that's where we got to enjoy a little bit of Puzzle Chicken, hosted by James from the UK. So that was really, really fun to watch again, because Puzzle Chicken is fun. And this event also turned into a karaoke party, because the bar itself had a karaoke night that night. So some puzzlers actually ended up showing some of their talents outside of puzzling, which was also very cool to see. But it was also just a very good opportunity to again hang out with some of these incredible people, so I had a really good time. I for sure can't wait for the big reveal of the next edition of the Speed Puzzle World Series, and I'm definitely going to do my best to be there in whatever capacity I can. Be it puzzler, be it host, be it whatever. I just feel like I have to be there next time as well. Since the event, I have also completed all of the puzzles used in the competition, and I have made time-lapse videos of all of them. So if you're interested to see those, then let me know, because I might just upload them in a second video just to show them off and show off my times and analyze the puzzles a little bit, because it turned out to be a really cool time for myself as well. So let me know if you would be interested in that. That is pretty much all that I have to tell you about the Speed Puzzle World Series. Since I got back home from that event, I have also been to another puzzle marathon yet again. And that's basically all the puzzling that I have been doing. Finally, the weather around where I live is also getting better, so I have been outdoors a lot and I have been puzzling a little less, but I am slowly getting back into the groove, and that also means that I'm going to be finally bringing out some more content. So I really hope that I'm going to be seeing you in one of the other videos that I'm going to be uploading in the future, and see you in that one. Bye!
I've been Jim Eakins.
And I've been Frushi Wilhelm, and
this
it
has
has
been
been amazing here.
And this is the Speed Puzzle World Series, and we will catch you later. Congrats to all the puzzlers.
Thank you for watching.
That was so cool. That was
amazing.
Cool. That was so great. There were so many different tactics that people got to see.